If you as a leader are waiting for that perfect moment of certainty or clarity, chances are you're going to be waiting a very long time. Unfortunately, even if you crystallized everything in a moment and had absolutely guaranteed lock of what the situation is, something happens and the entire game is changed and reset in a heartbeat. These are the realities of leading in the modern era. And for me, as a leader for the past couple of decades in the international non-governmental organization space, dealing with humanitarian emergencies, natural disasters, and longer-term development contexts, yet in fluid environments, the reality is that you will never have perfect clarity. You may possess a sense of certainty based on the North Star of your convictions, your mission that is absolutely imperative to accomplish, your vision, the way that the world is that you see and what needs to be but is not yet, that compels and impels and drives you forward. And your values, that things that you just will not transgress, things that you will not allow to happen on your watch. These things can guide and govern our decisions, and those core convictions can impel us forward. But the reality is the operating context, the lay of the land, the glut of information that we can receive can actually overwhelm our ability to process it. Even using the best tools and technology out there, there is a place that information needs to be distilled from knowledge to insight for action. And that takes determined reflection. It takes consultation. But at some point, you just need to transition into action. I remember a particular part of my journey when I had prepared a organizational budget for the upcoming fiscal year, presented it, or prepared it, actually shipped it out to my board and gave them some time to reflect on it in the couple of weeks leading up to our fall board meeting. In the intervening time, I went overseas to Southeast Asia, where I was confronted with some pretty disturbing realities on the ground affecting vulnerable children. Realities that to this day can keep me up at night. But I remember arriving back in Toronto and preparing to meet with the board the night before. As board members were gathering, I had a customary dinner with the board chair and the vice chair just to again go over what the proceedings would look like for the next couple of days. And it was over that late evening meal that they shared with me that they felt it was a very good, solid budget that I had prepared, even though it projected pretty rapid growth that we would need to live into. But in the intervening time between when I had sent the budget and when we were making the decisions, the financial markets had a catastrophic impact. It was 2008. The financial liquidity crisis was worldwide. And these individuals had connections with people who had lost everything, their entire investment portfolio. And so they were sharing with me the realities that this was a tsunami-like wave that was going to impact our donor community. And so they cautioned that if I were to present the same budget the next morning in light of these new realities, that it would just seem very disconnected from the world at hand. And I might even risk my credibility. It was really wise reflection and caution. So I didn't know what to do with these twin competing waves of different types of catastrophe. So I told the board members I would sleep on it. And the next morning, I began to share with a level of conviction that I knew that the economic realities were going to hammer our sector. And I didn't know how people would respond. But I also knew that whatever the case, this economic crisis was going to have a compound impact on vulnerable people in the communities where we served, because there would be an evacuation of resources or a turning off of the taps. And I just could not bear the thought of us not showing up with our best, at least trying to raise the resources that would be required to change their reality. And so I shared with conviction that I will respect the board's decision, but this was what I was encountering. And so in light of these two conflicting realities, it was my conviction that we needed to power through and sound the alarm, because our donor community was fully aware of the physical realities impacting them, but at a great distance, they would have been largely unaware of the daily realities of children who were being trafficked against their will. The board had an animated discussion, and at the end of the day, after prayerful consideration and some poignant questions, they actually unanimously approved the very steep budget increase that we had requested. And amazingly, by God's grace, over the next 2 years, we had some of the strongest growth in our organization's history, growing something like 86% and 82% in those 2 years when much of the sector was suffering. This was a situation where we had clarity on the contextual realities for the donor community and for the clients and the participants in the communities that we were serving. And our core conviction informed us that we must do something. We must do the best that we could, and come what may. And so we proceeded with that conviction. And thankfully, things turned out for the better, where we were able to raise those resources and help rescue and restore children from some pretty horrific situations together with local partners in their own communities. So don't wait for perfect clarity. Don't wait for absolute certainty, because the moment you've got it, everything will change. But stay rooted and anchored in your mission, your vision, your values, and let that inform your decisions. And then just chart that course. If you need to pivot along the way, you can. If you need to adapt, of course, do so. I'm not talking about being blind or neglecting to attend to emerging realities, but ensuring that you're anchoring into your purpose and you're trying to accomplish what you've been set here to do. That's my perspective. I'd love to hear yours.